Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. We are back again with another transfer episode, and we are going to be discussing lots of stories, 5 stories on my table today. Arsenal will wait until the end of the season to make any major moves for players in the summer. Now, this is because they will consider whether they go to Champions League or they do not go to the UEFA Champions League. That is one of the stories that we are going to be discussing today. Christopher Nkunku, Arsenal among 3 clubs that are pushing to sign Christopher Nkunku, including Manchester United, Manchester City, and Arsenal in England. And also I have reports that PSG are interested in the player as well. They're in France. Dominic, CalvertLewin. Arsenal will now not think about, or they have actually removed Dominic CalvertLewin from their list. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Because of the poor form he's in, we will be talking about that as well. Darwin Núñez, also an update about him changing his agent, and the fact that talks between Benfica and Arsenal are really gonna happen. And also Marco Asensio, the agent has said there is an offer from Arsenal on the table, and obviously, they are still waiting for Real Madrid. Madrid is of course stalling, but they're still waiting for Real Madrid to see whether the player will be staying in Spain or will be moving on. AC Milan also interested. All that we are going to discuss in this episode. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And for the shorter versions of these stories, do subscribe to 99 Sport, because you will find the shorter versions of these stories there. Let's get the party started. Right, let's start off with the UCL claim. Arsenal, according to reports from the UK, Arsenal will determine which players to sign in the summer, depending on whether they qualify for the UEFA Champions League or they do not. Now, this is a story that I've been looking at, this morning, and I was like, okay, this really makes a lot of sense, because I think 1 or 2 reasons there. When you qualify for the Champions League, the quality of players you attract is very different from the quality of players you can attract if you do not qualify for the UEFA Champions League. And that is absolutely true. We know that. For example, right at the moment, you can't maybe get in Christopher Nkunku. If we go to the Champions League, Nkunku could be a signing. I think Dominic CalvertLewin could be a signing. Ruben Neves. All those signings are very easy and possible if Arsenal qualify for the UEFA Champions League. However, on the turnaround, all those signings become very difficult if we do not go if we do not qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Now, this story is one of those that I believe is really authentic, because it's really coming in from an authentic source, and I don't see any reason as to why someone would lie over Arsenal waiting until the end of the season to start any major moves. Now, of course, a couple of reports have already been coming out on Arsenal being agreeing deals with certain players, starting the initial process to sign a couple of players, but that all that has dried away. All that has dried away. Now, Arsenal will not start any process. Arsenal will not continue any talks with any players until the end of the season. And the idea is that they want to see, because, look, and I think they're right. For example, if we sign in a player like Marco Asensio right now, without Champions League, or before we know that we can go to the Champions League, and then we qualify for Champions League, I think it would be a mistake, because in the summer, you can get someone better than Marco Asensio. I'm not really saying that Marco Asensio is a bad player, but what I'm trying to say is that it's better to wait. It's better for us to, give it some time and see, do we actually do we stand the chance of going to Champions League? Yes, there are a lot of roadblocks in the way. And I think that's going to be a key factor, one of the determinants, whether Arsenal sign certain players or not. But honestly, I think it's a very good stand. Wait until you go to Champions League. Wait until you miss out on Champions League, and then you start fidgeting on which players you go. The good thing, according to Mikel Arteta, we already have our transfer budget aside, and we also have the prospects and the targets identified and outlined. So I don't think that it's gonna need a lot of time to redraw the targets. I think they are the same targets. I think it's all about isolating and finding out who actually suits us better while we are in the Champions League, and who suits us better if we do not go to the Champions League but we want to fight for it. Because for me, for example, if we do not go to the Champions League, I think we could sign in like Patrick Schick. Honestly, I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? But we could go for Patrick Schick. If we get Champions League, I want Lautaro Martinez. I want a Maki signing. Because if we don't go to Champions League, I mean, who cares? Who cares? You don't go to Champions League. You're playing Europa League. I mean, you do not even care. I don't even care, because look, I care about the quality that comes in, but it's known as to the magnitude of, oh, we are first timers in the Champions League for some, after a long time. We need to bring in these Maki signings so that we actually impress. So I think it's a good story, and it's a very, very good thought. I mean, whoever brought it on the table, that was absolutely marvelous. So Arsenal will wait until the end of the season to start any processes, or to actually begin talks with their major signings in the summer. Now, moving on to the next story, Marco Asensio is wanted by Arsenal, and the agent of the player has actually come out and said, look, there is an offer on the table from Arsenal. We wanted him in the summer. If you still in January, if you still remember, we talked about Marco Asensio as one of the options, and I'm really disgusted that such names are really coming back thick and fast. Because you know why I'm disgusted? I honestly think that players like Marco Asensio, players like Luka Jovic, who's back in the news for Arsenal again, players like Dejan Kulusevski, they were what we needed. They were what we needed in January. Probably not to come in and start every game, but just to give you that kind of cushion, just to give you that kind of reassurance that, look, do your thing, to give the reassurance and that kind of insurance to the first team players. Do your thing. Go ahead, do your thing. If you get injured, if you get worn out, if you suffer from burnout, we can actually we can always provide that kind of backup, that kind of support. And now we are linked with them back in the summer. So this is a story from the Mirror, and they're saying Marco Asensio agent claims he has Arsenal offer on the table. And they're saying Marco Asensio representatives have confirmed both Arsenal and AC Milan are interested in signing the Real Madrid player. The Spaniard, 26, has just 14 months remaining on his existing deal and has been linked with the Gunners for some time now. Reports last summer suggested the Premier League outfit made an unsuccessful bid for Marco Asensio in the 2021 summer window. It is believed Real want to keep him on their books, and have made a $5 million per year salary offer, around 80,000 per week plus add-ons. Asensio is yet to decide his future and could be persuaded to leave the Bernabeu due to his lack of game time this season. The 25-year-old Cap has played 34 games in all competitions this season, but only 1,713 minutes in total, averaging around 50 minutes per 90. Real boss Carlo Ancelotti has several attacking options at his disposal, including Vini Jr. and Eden Hazard. And the Spanish Giants may be inclined to sell Asensio if they sign number one target Kylian Mbappe in the summer. The Frenchman, 23, is out of contract in June, and it appears he will either stay at Paris Saint-Germain or join Real Madrid on a free. Speculation about Asensio's future grew after he spent recent international break in Milan. Many supporters believe the player's trip is an indication about his next move, and his agents have confirmed the Italian giants are interested in their clients' services. Right, it's a huge story. It's a huge story about Marco Asensio. And one thing I'm gonna say about Marco is he's one of those players that we have not seen their full potential. Marco Asensio and Isco, Real Madrid. Some of those players that, I mean, at times I grow nostalgic, and I've always told you that, especially when it comes to Isco. I remember him at Malaga. that is, I mean, it's a problem, isn't it? But that is me. I always remember him at Malaga. I always remember him, doing that little science, at Malaga alongside, Santi Cazorla. And Arsene Wenger wanted the pair. I wish we got them, both. Isco for me is a classy boy. He's a very, very classy boy. But now age has caught up on him. I don't think he's the player he was anymore. But to move on to Marco Asensio, 26 years of age. I think, let us agree on this, lads. There is a player in there in Marco Asensio. There is a footballer in there in Marco Asensio. Now, this is ridiculous for me, the same person who rejected Marcus Rashford. But also, I believe there is a player in Marcus Rashford, and I believe that there is a good player there, a good footballer in Marcus Rashford, right? I think these are, Marco Asensio needs a reset, like what Aubameyang got. There is that kind of environment that you just want to get out of and then become a good footballer again. It might not even take months. It might not even take weeks. It might not even take years. Marco Asensio, we know how good he is as a footballer. At the moment, maybe he can't fight for the numbers for the game time. At Real Madrid, you have Vinicius Junior there. You have Karim Benzema, the world's best striker at the moment. Also playing in there. So maybe it might not be as easy as maybe it was. But I think it needs a chance. Even if it's not Arsenal, even if it's AC Milan, I think he needs a chance. To put him into the Arsenal perspective, would he actually fit the Arsenal system? Would he actually work for us? I think that is what Mikel Arteta is looking for. I think he's the kind of player that Mikel Arteta is looking for. My problem with him is that the numbers in terms of goals, if you look at all the other players that Arsenal linked with and all the other players that we are interested in, he doesn't have the numbers. He actually doesn't have that advantage. Cody Gakpo has scored many goals. Richarlison scores very, very many goals. Rafinha as well scores very many goals. Christopher Nkunku scores very many goals. So he plays in the same position and in the same style. The Mikel Arteta is trying to recruit a player, but maybe can he transform him into a lad that can add goals to his game, because he's a very exciting player, very, very exciting. I think if you added him to this Arsenal side, one, he would give us the options. Saka or Martinelli predominantly plays on that right hand side, and then cuts inside as an inverted winger. So if you brought him in, then he would be a backup to Saka, because also Saka plays predominantly as an inverted winger on the right hand side. So no. Madrid want to keep him on the books. That is according to the Mirror. Madrid don't want to let him go. They would prefer to keep him at the Bernabeu. They want to extend his contract. They want to offer him 80,000 per week. I think Arsenal can do that, or even better than that, like 100k per week or 110,000 per week, if Mikel Arteta believes he is the player to take Arsenal forward. Because at the moment, whoever comes in is no longer a random signing. It's all about who does Mikel Arteta think is the right player. If anyone comes in at this Arsenal side and they have not been approved by Mikel Arteta, that is a disaster. That is a problem. And I would be one person who says, look, don't bring in anyone that the manager says they aren't good enough. Don't bring in anyone that the manager doesn't feel comfortable with. And I think that's the point. So, Asensio, would you want him at Arsenal? Would you not want him at Arsenal? He's not been playing so regularly. So, I mean, we cannot really say, look, Asensio this season, Asensio that season, because I think he's not found that kind of consistent run of games. And every player needs that. And every player needs to be judged on that basis. That consistent run of games, like 10 games in a row, like a good campaign or two, like two campaigns. That's when you say, look, according to the last two campaigns, this player is good enough or this player is not good enough. But there is a talent in there. There is a very, very good player in there, in Marco Asensio. Would he be my priority? Obviously none. There are so many other players that I think are better than him, and there would be better deals for Arsenal. If Rafinha, if Leeds go down, we could try that. You never know. Yes, there is a lot of competition from Bayern, from Barcelona. Actually, Bayern are not even interested. They want to keep Serge Gnabry, according to the latest rumors coming out of there. So it looks like we could go for Rafinha. Good player, very good player. Everton, for me, I think honestly, let me say this, lads. Everton, if they lose their next game, I'll confirm them as being relegated, and they will lose their next game. So don't be surprised if Richarlison also moves on from Everton. Richarlison will be very good because he's already played in the Champions League, in the Premier League, and he's got that consistent run of games. He's been brilliant for Brazil. He's been brilliant for Everton, despite the fact that they're going down. In the last game against Burnley, 3-2 they lost, but he scored both goals. So it shows you the quality of him as a player. He scores a lot of goals. So Marco Asensio wouldn't be my first option, but maybe it's one of those signings I would say I don't mind, as long as Madrid do not want to take advantage of us. At times, they want to bring in Kylian Mbappe, so they would want to take advantage of clubs and things like that. But Hazard, Asensio, Bale, all these players are going to be leaving Real Madrid. I don't think Madrid will keep them around and also bring in Kylian Mbappe. So there is a chance, there is an outlet. But in my opinion, if you went to a club like AC Milan, that deal would actually work for him better than Arsenal. Because at Arsenal, we found a structure and we already have the big boys, right? Yes, they're small boys, Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, but they're already the big boys. And to come and, overthrow them from their various positions, you need one or two things. You need to be extremely good. If not that, then you're going to be, look, let me say this. You're going to have to be very big. Marco Asensio is not very big. Maybe if he comes in and then is willing to fight for game time. Look, it's one that doesn't hurt really. It's one that doesn't hurt. How much would I be willing to pay for him? 20 million. His contract runs down next summer, so not this summer but next summer. So probably 20 and less. Yeah, 20 less. 15 to 20. I think that's what Madrid would be looking out for. And you never know. You get him, you get the options, you get yourself a Europa League player for the start, and one that has, because he's 26, still has around 5 years on his career. So you bring him in, nurture him, just let him believe in himself. That is what he's lacking. That is what such players are lacking. Really talented, but they lack that kind of self-belief in themselves. If you can give them that, they are good to go. Moving on, Dominic CalvertLewin is no longer a target for Arsenal. This is absolutely ridiculous, Cossy. I hear you say, but it is absolutely true, I say. Now, reports have actually come out since yesterday evening claiming the Arsenal are no longer interested in signing in Dominic CalvertLewin. Now, the reason here is that the player's form this season and injury record has actually become worrying for Arsenal. This is a very good story and very good news to many Arsenal fans out there that do not understand, don't want to associate with Dominic CalvertLewin. However, I have a very different perspective. Very different perspective on this story. The first thing, Dominic CalvertLewin is a top player. Very top player. Yes, he's English and he knows the league. But if you put that aside, because those are also advantages, the fact that he knows the Premier League, he's been in the Premier League for around 5 seasons consecutively and consistently performing at a top level for Everton. I think that is a very huge advantage for him. One thing I'm going to say about Dominic CalvertLewin is I think Arsenal are getting it wrong. This season, he's been in poor form. Honestly, it's the injury. Let me give an example. David Luiz clashed with Raul Jimenez. Before they clashed, Raul Jimenez was one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and every summer he was linked with every club: Arsenal, Chelsea, United, City. Right? And then they had a head clash, like head-on collision. Raul Jimenez developed this kind of phobia for contact, and you could see him whenever he was trying to hit the ball, whenever he was trying to throw himself into challenges, whenever he was never committing into challenges. He was never committing to the ball. It was always 50-50. And it took some time. Right now, Raul Jimenez this season, I think, is coming back. Yes, collectively, Wolves are very good as a unit, and their strength relies on how good they defend and on how strong their possession is. But I think he's coming back to that level where they want him to be. Dominic CalvertLewin, first and foremost, still a very young player, only 26 years of age. Yes, he's in. He is at his peak. Arsenal have a reason to be afraid. Like, I mean, you don't want to pump 60 million, 50 million into a player who you're not really sure is not going to be affected by this injury for the rest of his career. You don't want that. You want to sign you want to go for assurance. You want to be reassured that anything you put into this player is actually going to come out, and if it doesn't, the reason is not injuries. But I think we are getting it wrong. Players do get injured all the time. Martinelli has been injury prone, I think, for how long? But in this season, he suffers an injury, he comes back, he's never gone back to the sick bay again, and has been absolutely brilliant. I don't think Dominic CalvertLewin's injury this season should be a key concern. And many of you always talk to me and say, Cossy, Dominic CalvertLewin is injury prone. He's not injury prone. In the last 3 seasons, he's been averaging at least 30 games per campaign. A campaign has 38 Premier League games. If a player is playing 30 of those, look, you could excuse him of the 8. I mean, 8, he may be suspended. The other 8, he's out of the 8, 4 is suspended, 2 is suspended, 4 is injured, and then the other 2 squad rotation, right? So I don't know what you people think. I would love to get your take on this. My take is that Arsenal should not rush into that conclusion. Yeah, he's not good, and he's injury prone. This season means he's not good enough. I don't agree to that. I'm one person that really never liked Dominic CalvertLewin. I've developed that kind of understanding towards him as a player, and I think he would be a very, very complete, gunman to what Arsenal are looking for. You're looking for someone who's got the hold-up play, energy, speed, intelligence, and is clinical. Those 5, if we are trying to rate Dominic CalvertLewin, at least out of 10, clinical, out of 10, I would say 6. Better than Lacazette, because Lacazette, for me, I would give him a 0 out of 10 when it comes to clinical. Positioning, out of 10, I'll give him a 9. He's very, very good at positioning, and that's why many chances always fall onto him in that Everton side. Hold up play, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. And then the other aspects, I think he fairly does well. So for us not to just come out and say, look, he's no longer an option, he's no longer a target, I don't believe the story. Number one, I don't believe the story. I don't believe that a long-term striker target just disappears, just vanishes from the list of options. If they had said that he's no longer our priority, and Arsenal do not consider him as a priority anymore, there I would understand. I would say, look, yeah, this is it. But the fact that they're saying that Arsenal do not care, he's no longer part of our priorities, I cross the story. Absolutely, it's absolute shit. I'm not going for it. But anyway, it's the story is there as well. That Dominic CalvertLewin is no longer considered among the options, the striker options that Arsenal want. For me, he should be considered. Maybe he cannot get a clean slate like the likes of Darwin Nunez and Lautaro Martinez that have played and completed their season, that have scored many goals this season. But I would still put him ahead of players like Alexander Isak. I would still put him ahead of players like Jonathan David, who are playing in inferior leagues, right? I'd put him ahead of them. I can't lie. I would put him ahead of Patrick Schick, honestly. So I mean, it will depend on Arsenal, but I think if Everton got relegated, Arsenal would get him on a bargain, probably 40, probably 45 million. Bring him in at Arsenal. Just try to make sure that he stays away from injuries. He keeps clean from injuries, and that's it. And then you have a fine player on a bargain. So I know Arsenal will look at the pricing. I know Arsenal will look at the fact that they will be getting a very, very good player on a bargain, and they'll be like, look, we can't lose this opportunity. We can't lose this opportunity. So what do you think? Do you think CalvertLewin should actually be discarded, or do you think Arsenal will really look at other players rather than him, or actually should look at other players other than him? Let me know in the comments below. Now, the other stories is in the other news, Arsenal have joined a list of 3 Premier League clubs, of 2 Premier League clubs, making it 3. We make the list 3 for Christopher Nkunku. This is from Football 365. They've said Arsenal are among 3 Premier League sides in the running for Leipzig attacker Christopher Nkunku. And they've said Arsenal, Manchester United and Manchester City are all in the running to sign Leipzig attacker Christopher Nkunku, according to reports. The France international has been in terrific form for the Bundesliga side. This time he scored 27 goals and provided 17 in 40 games across all competitions. That is mad. That is mad. That is absolutely mad. Who does that? I mean, he reminds me of Henrik Mkhitaryan in his last season at Borussia Dortmund before signing for Manchester United. Real Arsenal were interested as well, right? But Nkunku, this is absolutely mad. How many goal involvements are these? Jesus Christ! These are 44 goal involvements. Can you believe it? 44 goal involvements in 40 games across all competition. He's terrific. He's having a hell of a season. According to Foot Mercato via the Sport Witness, Arsenal are among the many clubs looking at the possibility of signing Christopher Nkunku, as well as the aforementioned Premier League trio, Barcelona, Bayern, and his former club Paris Saint-Germain are also interested in signing the Leipzig player. Leipzig desire over 70 million euros to depart with the French attacker, who is under contract at the Red Bull Arena until 2024. Arsenal will likely need to secure Champions League for next season if they want to if they are to prize Nkunku away from the German outfit. Their top 4 pursuit took a hit on Monday after they were comfortably beaten 3-0 by Crystal Palace at the Selhurst Park. Another Ghana's target, Cody Gakpo, recently discussed the Northern London side, saying that he likes Arsenal a lot. It was reported last month Arsenal are among the Premier League clubs interested in Gakpo. He is valued around 40 million euros by PSV. The 22-year-old has been in fantastic form for the Dutch this season. He has grabbed 9 goals and 13 assists in the league from his 21 games. I mean, again, terrific from Cody Gakpo, very terrific. But let's talk about Christopher Nkunku, lads. Let's talk about Christopher Nkunku. Now, I talked about the fact that Gary Neville said, if Arsenal want to become big again, great again, they need now to start focusing on marquee signings. They need to start thinking of how to make their squad, compete favorably with Bayern, Barcelona, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. And our problem, and this is not an Arsenal problem, it's a problem for United, for Newcastle. I mean, I would say Newcastle because they're big now. Problem for Spurs. The bar has been set too high financially by Chelsea and City. And what UEFA, those fools, you know what they've done? They've gone, look, okay, PSG, City, Chelsea have overspent, and money has ruined clubs like Barcelona at the moment, Real Madrid at the moment. Money is ruining football. So they've said, yes, we agree that all these clubs have actually overspent, but we actually now bringing a spending cap. You cannot spend 70% of the money you are making starting this summer, right? Starting this summer, you cannot spend more than 70% of the money you make as a club. Of course, the previous guidance were that at least a club should spend, right, within the scope, within the limits of what they earn. Now it's gone. You've got to spend, right? You've got to spend as much as 70% of your earnings. That's it. So this is a huge limitation. And I think UEFA have just kicked themselves in the stomach. They are, I mean, they're so disorganized. UEFA, very disorganized. I mean, they're under FIFA, so you expect them to be disorganized, don't you? But they are the same ones come out and say, look, we are proposing to lift spending caps and all those things to help clubs survive to help clubs and football survive the COVID-19 period. And they've gone, wait a minute, City is spending too much, Chelsea is spending too much, who else is spending too much? No, you cannot now spend and this rule applies to all the clubs, right? So that means that to compete favorably with these clubs, because their squads are still, evolving. Their squads still have that kind of, they still have credit time. Because if you look at Liverpool, they have Luis Diaz has come in. They have Jota, who's coming. All they need now as Liverpool is to buy one player per summer. That is not the same as United. That is not the same as Arsenal. Because for us, we need 3 players per summer, and we will find ourselves being restricted from buying all those players, just like City used to do, because now the cup is coming. But away from that, I think Christopher Nkunku would be a perfect sign for Arsenal if we want to make statement signings. Now, look, it's funny, isn't it? Salah was a statement signing. Kevin De Bruyne was a statement signing. And if you look at those players and how much they have won or contributed to what City and Liverpool have in their cupboard or trophy store, I don't know how trophy stores are called, but I know they have a name. Then you have to wonder, how do Arsenal get there? It's by buying players like Nkunku. It's by buying players that with the same stature as Kevin De Bruyne. But how do we do that? We've been banned. But honestly, I think I agree with Gary Neville. The next signings we need to make need to be marquee signings. Like if you have a summer where you bring in Ruben Neves, Nkunku, and Lautaro Martinez, that would be a mad summer. That would be an absolutely mad summer. But it would write a statement, right? Because that is around. I've seen Wolves have just increased the price of Ruben Neves to 100 million. I mean, it's crazy. I've also seen Nkunku, they want 70 million, so that's 170. And then you have Lautaro Martinez, who would cost us around 70 million, roughly 200 million to sign 3 players, right? 200 million. But those would be statement signings. Liverpool have done it. They brought in a 70 million goalkeeper. They brought in a 75 million centre back, and they've won it all. They have the Champions League. They have the Super Cup. Did they win the Super Cup? I'm not sure. They have, but I think they did. They have the Premier League. Under Klopp, they are taken a lot of time without winning it. Finally, they won it. So Christopher Nkunku. There's a lot of competition. Arsenal will need to first get Champions League football. There's a lot of competition on him, and that is what for me. That is what proves that he's a good player. Good players, you've got to find a way of luring them into your grasp, right? PSG interested, PSG, Bayern, Barcelona, but I don't know what could happen there. I don't know what could happen there. Maybe absolute sense. Moving on to the last story around Arsenal is Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez has changed his agent and his hiring. Now, the reports are contradicting. The first reports indicated that he's hiring someone close to George Mendes. The later reports are saying he has fired his agent to hire George Mendes. It is still unclear, but of course, he's changed his agent. Looks like he's really, really desperate for a move in the summer. So that's it for your transfer update. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with another one. Smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel as well. I've not done the press conference reaction yet, but I will do it very, very soon. It will be dropping. Make sure you also watch it. Speak to you soon.